I don't know if I watched the game.
Yeah. No, real emergency. Okay, I think we are live.
I will call to order the regular council meeting for Monday, October 27th, 2025. Do we have any today?
Staff has one item, the acting mayor schedule for 2025-2026 to item 2.3. Or 8.2.3, sorry.
Okay, can I have a mover and a second? Moved by Councilor Marcel, seconded by Councilor Stanbury. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried. The adoption of the agenda. Can I get a mover and a seconder to adopt the agenda as written? Councilor Reid and Councilor Stanbury. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried. The first item is the adoption of the minutes from the regular council meeting held on October 14th, 2025. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Councilor Stanbury, Councilor Marcel. Any discussion? Councilor Marcel.
Thank you. I'm reviewing the minutes. I went back and looked at the engineering for the waterworks that were presented by Mr. Bayon from Urban Systems. I was, when I looked back at it, it was so different from what our water committee had sorted out. There's no mention of pathogen or contaminations and how we would treat them if we had them. There's no financing in any of the 10 items he issued as to possibly installing purification of the water. There's no talk about looping the lines, and which, according to our committee, was the cause for the high volume per person in the village, and also that it was potentially a place where contaminations, pathogens grew and so forth in the waterworks. There's no mention of the hydrants other than to say that there's 39 of them that are in trouble because we don't, for whatever particular reason. And basically it breaks down to there's 10 issues on that situation. And the only way that we could ever pay for any of those would be large grants. So assuming we get one grant a year, that's 10 years down the road, and we still haven't addressed things like the purification or anything else. I think that there's a real discussion that should take place while we are preparing our strategic plan and our budgets for 2026. And having some kind of an idea on what things we can do to protect our water system. And it's things like checking for cross-contamination on wells that are existing in the aquifer. What kinds of things might contaminate our wells. And build a plan on things that we can actually accomplish with our budgets. And meet the needs that are identified by Interior Health. So I'd like to suggest that we make a priority when discussing budgets, the strategic plans, that our water plan addresses at least some of the committee's actions, particularly things we can do within our budget. And I don't know if we could make a motion that that gets put in, or if that has to be brought up as an item on another meeting.
Okay, I'll allow, I'll have Councilor or CEO Hubanoff to discuss some of that. One thing that I just bring up in with what you're saying is in that from Urban System, they did very specifically say that they weren't gonna touch the treatment piece of what's going on, but rather it's more of a community issue and, you know, and that's what the water committee was trying to address with that. I agree that we still don't have a plan as it relates to the treatment piece of it. But what Urban Systems, or what I read or what I got from the report, what Urban Systems did, is that they were really more focused on the mechanical pieces of what we needed to do to up our fire flow and to get our pipes in order. I agree with you wholeheartedly that we need to, that is a piece of what Interior Health is talking about. But I'll have Acting CEO Hubanoff discuss some of your other pieces as it relates to the strategic plan and maybe a few of your other concerns.
Thank you, Acting Mayor Whitesell. Correct, this isn't the time to discuss it at adoption of the minutes. It would be actually, sorry, I've lost the word here. New business, motion of motion, notice of motion, so you could bring it forward at that time that you'd like a report or to set a meeting up. It's later in the agenda. That could be changed. We could discuss it then. And if I can touch on doubling up on the report, the master plan wasn't to address necessarily the cost, because we can't predict what the cost will be in 10 years. And it is definitely based on a long-term plan. This is not going to be done immediately. Interior Health is aware of that and is willing to work with us. And so that wasn't part of the task for the water master plan. It is a plan of the upgrades that the village needs and not necessarily about water treatment. This was actually, you know, in the works long before we knew we needed it, because we knew our fire flow wasn't adequate, things like that.
Also, we're looking at piecing out the funding and over time, because quite honestly, to get the work all done at one shot, we would never be able to accomplish that in a grant timeline. Usually there's a lot of work and we don't have the workers, the contractors to do that.
If you'd like to move to set a meeting, an item on a future discussion or a future agenda, we can parse that out.
I guess I was just, I wasn't thinking particularly of the council meeting. My thoughts were more as we get into the budget discussions and the strategic plan discussions, is how much effort we're going to put on to our water plan on the recommendations that were brought up by the committee. So I guess my motion would be, if I was to do one, is that this item be highlighted in discussions during strategic plans and budgeting discussions.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I've noted that.
Thank you. All right, our first item on the agenda.
That a letter from the Christine Boyle, Minister of Housing and Municipal Affairs, that the letter from the Honorable Christine Boyle, Minister of Housing and Municipal Affairs, regarding the changes in legislation for small-scale multi-unit housing be received for information.
Okay, do I have a mover and a second? Councillor Reid, Councillor Stanbury. Discussion. Councillor Acting CEO Hubanoff.
So, as it states in the letter, because we're under population of 5,000, we aren't really obligated to do any of these changes. But I will keep an eye on this while I still have to review the zoning and OCP before the end of the year. I've started. We don't have a lot of changes to be made, so that's going to help us. But I will keep that as a topic in my review, but we aren't obligated to do any of these works, and some of them we already have in our zoning bylaws.
Anything further?